Think again if you think we live in the wealthiest time in human history. None of the richest people in history, adjusted for inflation, are still alive. Their means of becoming wealthily varied, but they all amassed fortunes that would make others green with envy. Today, we'll be discussing the wealthiest people in history and how they were able to ensure a worry-free future for their descendants. Keep watching until the end to find out which disliked ruler in the 20th century has made our rich list. Now let's crack on. 1. Jacob Fugger, $400 billion. Jacob Fugger was the richest person in history, even among non-kings and non-emperors. With around $400 billion in current value, his total wealth was approximately 2.1 million guilders. On March 6, 1459, the German merchant was born in the free imperial city of Augsburg, which was part of the Holy Roman Empire at the time, modern-day Germany. The first Fugger, Fugger Sr., was a prosperous merchant and the ancestor of the dynastic family that bore his name. But it was Jacob Fugger who made the Fugger name famous throughout Europe. The majority of Fugger's wealth came from mining and trading with metals, particularly copper. By the 15th century, copper was increasingly treasured for its use in making weapons and utensils. Fugger noticed this trend and became heavily involved in the mining industry. He made loans to various mine owners in the area in exchange for first buying rights to their metals. Step by step, Fugger gained nearly complete control of the region's metal trade from Augsburg to Rome. When it came to copper, Fugger established a monopoly that extended far beyond the borders of the Holy Roman Empire, all the way to Gdansk of the Kingdom of Poland. Fugger established himself as a banker in addition to his mining and metal trading dominance. Fugger died in his hometown on December 30, 1525. 2. John Rockefeller, $350 billion. Rockefeller remains the wealthiest American of all time. At the tender age of 16, Rockefeller began his working life as a bookkeeper. Rockefeller then started his own business in the produce commission industry with his brother and a business partner when he was only 20 years old. Soon after, in the 1860s, Rockefeller developed a new interest, oil, which he saw as the most valuable resource of the future. In 1863, Rockefeller and his partners established their first oil refinery in Cleveland, Ohio. Following the American Civil War, the Cleveland refinery was one of only 5 still in operation in the U.S. In 1870, Rockefeller severed ties with his business partners and established Standard Oil as a solo venture. He secretly struck a deal with railway companies that significantly increased the freight charges that oil companies had to pay for the distribution of their product. As a result, the oil company was able to quickly purchase competing oil refineries. Rockefeller's Standard Oil became the world's largest oil producer by far. Rockefeller owned roughly 90% of the United States' total oil production at the turn of the 20th century, accounting for 85% of the world's oil production at the time. This made Rockefeller the richest man in the world, with a fortune worth around $350 billion today. Standard Oil was declared an illegal monopoly by the United States Supreme Court in 1911, and the company was divided into 34 independent companies. Rockefeller's financial situation did not worsen as a result of the imposed splitting. He was allowed to keep significant shares in each of the companies, which increased in value 5 times on average. Rockefeller spent his final years in Florida. He died on May 23, 1937, at the age of 97 in Ormond Beach, Florida. He married once and had 5 children. 3. Andrew Carnegie, $310 billion. Andrew Carnegie, who was born on November 25, 1835, in the small Scottish town of Dunfermline, was the 3rd richest non-ruler in human history and the wealthiest non-royal British-born person ever. The Carnegie came from a long line of Scottish weavers. After the Carnegies' financial situation deteriorated, the family decided to immigrate to the U.S. in 1848, settling in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Andrew Carnegie started working as a telegraph messenger boy in Pittsburgh at 14. He was hired as a telegraph operator by the Pennsylvania Railroad Company when he was 18 years old. He became acquainted with the world of investments with the assistance of his boss there, Thomas Scott. Carnegie's initial focus was solely on the railroad sector, the first major sector of the American economy. Following this, he made investments in multiple oil companies, realizing the long-term potential of this natural resource. After recognizing the value of steel, Andrew Carnegie became one of the wealthiest people in history. Carnegie foresaw that the expanding United States would require a great deal of steel for the numerous railways, bridges, and buildings it planned to construct. In 1892, he established the Carnegie Steel Company, which quickly grew to become the largest steel producer in the U.S. and later the world. By the turn of the 20th century, the company became the most valuable in the world. Carnegie's net worth today is estimated to be around $310 billion. John Morgan, founder of the investment bank J.P. Morgan, purchased Carnegie's company after his death, and the company eventually changed its name to the United States Steel Corporation, or simply U.S. Steel. Carnegie became a famous philanthropist in his final 18 years. Andrew Carnegie died of bronchial pneumonia in Lenox, Massachusetts, 2 years after moving there. He was 83 years old at the time. 4. William Vanderbilt, $230 billion. William Vanderbilt's name comes among the richest people in history. Vanderbilt was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey on May 8, 1821. He was the child of Cornelius Vanderbilt, the American of Dutch ancestry railroad and water transportation tycoon who built the Vanderbilt fortune. After his father died in 1877, William, as the eldest son, inherited his fortune. He took over his father's railroad empire and nearly doubled its value in the next 9 years. His net worth in today's dollars, equivalent to about $230 billion, exceeded that of his father. Aside from being a railroad magnate, Vanderbilt was also a major philanthropist in America. Among the many organizations that benefited from his generosity was the YMCA. In addition, he established his university, Vanderbilt University, in Nashville, Tennessee. William Vanderbilt died in his New York City home on December 8, 1885, only 9 years after his father. 5. Akbar I, $21 trillion. Akbar, the greatest emperor of India's Mughal dynasty, ruled an empire that accounted for approximately 1/4 of the global economic output. According to Fortune's Chris Matthews, the economist Angus Madison speculates that under the ruler Akbar, India's GDP was comparable to Elizabeth of England, but with a standard of living in ultra-luxury surpassed that of European society. That India's elite class was much wealthier than their Western counterparts is supported by data from economist Branko Milanovic, whose fantastic research shows that the Mughal dynasty was one of the most effective empires of all time at extracting wealth from the population. In current dollars, Akbar the Great's net value was estimated to be $21 trillion. 6. Mansa Musa, $400 billion. Mansa Musa, the king of Timbuktu, is widely regarded as the richest man in history. In accordance to Ferrum College history professor Mr. Richard Smith, Mansa Musa's West African kingdom was likely the world's largest gold producer at a time when gold was in particularly high demand. Some accounts of Musa's famous pilgrimage to Mecca, during which his spending was so extravagant that it caused an Egyptian currency crisis, mention dozens of camels, each carrying hundreds of pounds of gold. Others claimed Musa's army numbered 200,000 men, including 40,000 archers, troop numbers that even modern superpowers would find difficult to match. Mansa Musa's spectacular pilgrimage evidenced to the rest of the world the capabilities of a powerful West African state, as well as the ambitions of its ambitious ruler. Following the pilgrimage, the Mali cities of Timbuktu and Djenné grew into major trading centers for commodities, particularly those derived from the region's natural resources, including slaves and books, also welcoming scholars and intellectuals from all over the Islamic world. He was also known for promoting scholarship and a legal system. His net worth at the time of the Mali Empire was equal to the modern-day equivalent of $400 billion. 7. Pablo Escobar, $30 billion. By the early 1990s, he had been declared the wealthiest criminal with a known net worth of $30 billion, which is roughly $60 billion in 2018 and does not include his unknown assets. Netflix's Narcos is inspired by the real life of this king of cocaine. He, like the other people on the list, owned dozens of planes, mansions, and boats, but what sets him apart are his unusual possessions, such as zoos and airports. According to popular legend, he once spent $1,000 per week just on rubber bands to keep his money safe. He was, however, nicknamed Robin Hood by the public because he always gave a percentage of his profits to the public good. 8. Rothschild, $400 billion. Rothschild is a family, not a person. This does not prevent them from being featured. This Jewish family claimed to have the largest private fortune in the world in the 19th century, and later the largest private fortune in modern world history. Many conspiracies revolve around this family. There is evidence that this family has funded some high-profile political activities in the U.S. and elsewhere. The family is thought to still control over $2 trillion in assets around the world. They hold an annual private meeting called the Bilderberg Conference with 120 to 150 people, the exact agenda of which is unknown to the public, but is thought to be for devising illegal plans to increase their wealth. The Rothschilds were a household of 5 sons and their father who built a banking empire in the 1800s and now has a mutual net worth of $400 billion. 9. Kim Jong-un, $5 billion. He would be the world's richest person if cruelty were a currency. Nonetheless, Kim Jong-un was included on the list. Though North Korea is known as one of the poorest countries in the world, the same can't be said about the North Korean dictator. Kim Jong-un's family owns a large portion of the country. His assets are estimated to be worth more than $170 billion. It is estimated that his net worth is around $5 billion. Some have speculated that Kim Jong-il spends around $600 million annually. The alcoholic beverage industry is both his bread and butter and his Achilles heel. According to North Korean exiles, Kim Jong-un spends $30 million per year on alcohol alone. He owns a mansion, a yacht, racehorse tracks, an airport, golf courses, and access to North Korean's Ibiza, a party island. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos of such interesting facts and much more. Check out this video, Inside Luxury in London, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.